Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. Archaeological studies of ancient humans across all cultures have indicated beyond a shadow of a doubt that humans have always been polygamous creatures. The primary male sexual strategy for those that can exercise it has always been unmetered access to unlimited sexuality. Evidence from this comes from men who have historically been in a position to get exactly what they prefer, such as kings, emperors, despots, and other men of unusually high status. Present day, this feature of our evolution, in conjunction with the digital revolution, is causing men a big problem. With unmetered access to unlimited sexuality online, many men are sedating themselves with copious amounts of porn and masturbation. To start, let me explain the psychological drivers behind the addictive nature of porn. Essentially, the brain releases dopamine in order to reward behaviour that will result in prolonged survival or proliferation of our genes. From an evolutionary standpoint, this is critical. This system kept humans motivated to survive and reproduce. The rewards are not just restricted to sex, but anything that promotes our survival, such as seeing a new sexual partner, smelling calorie-dense foods, achieving greatness, or obtaining social approval. Can you identify other addictions that parallel unmetered access to dopamine releases? The reward center becomes most active in anticipation or craving of the reward, and not when the actual reward is received. In terms of sexual excitation, dopamine levels rise slightly upon the sight of a sexual prospect, rise slightly higher when she is naked, rises more upon sexual stimulation, and rises to its highest level just before ejaculation. Dopamine is metabolized quickly by the body, so we have urges to repeat this behavior. For our ancient ancestors, dopamine release from the anticipation of an ejaculation was regulated by the sexual opportunities on the open savanna, but now its only limiting factor is your internet speed. It's the rapid-fire ease of access of porn, with no regulatory inhibition, in combination with our evolved biology that makes porn and masturbation so dangerously addictive. Here are the problems that it causes for you. Problem number 1. Frequent masturbation induces sexual dysfunction. Frequent masturbating trains your body to climax very quickly because of the overstimulating, unrealistic nature of porn. The consumer is presented with a refined dopamine explosion of high-quality porn that the user can't click away from until they themselves explode. Once the dopamine is metabolized, we will feel the urge to repeat this behavior until the dopamine trigger is removed. The ease of access to porn means more ejaculations, and more ejaculations means you'll become desensitized to porn. You will require increasing amounts of high-quality porn to achieve the same arousal. Back in the real world, no woman can ever compete with the aesthetically enhanced women in a pornograph. Frequent exposure to high-quality porn will desensitize you to real-world experiences with women, which can inhibit your ability to become aroused and climax, inducing sexual dysfunction. Another pathway that contributes to sexual dysfunction is the hormonal changes that occur with problematic porn usage. When you ejaculate, large amounts of prolactin is released. Prolactin is the hormone responsible for enabling breast milk production in women. A high level of prolactin in men causes sexual dysfunction. It's believed that the sudden increase in blood serum prolactin levels after ejaculation is responsible for making your Johnson go flaccid. It's the body's method of preventing the glands of the penis from displacing your own semen from the female's reproductive tract. So frequent masturbating will cause chronically high levels of prolactin, which will contribute to sexual dysfunction. Over time, excessive porn use will cause a reduced ability for you to obtain and maintain a full hard erection, increased incidences of premature ejaculation due to conditioning, and not being able to control your ejaculation. Problem number 2. Frequent masturbating castrates your testosterone levels. Another issue that prolactin causes for men is that it buffers the effect of testosterone. This will mean that you don't tackle life with the same aggression that you would have if you didn't regularly ejaculate. In some people, the reset period for normalising testosterone can be up to a week before they feel mentally and physically sharp again. In a study done in China, a 145.7% increase in baseline total testosterone was present in those who didn't ejaculate for 7 days versus those who did over the same period. This is quite substantial. Most men don't ever experience this because they ejaculate every day. Higher levels of testosterone are responsible for productivity and achievement. This is one of the reasons why men work harder than women and obtain higher levels of success. Masturbation takes away from your impulse to achieve greatness through suppressing your testosterone. Another thing to remember is that high levels of prolactin will make you tired, docile, and will reduce your physical and mental sharpness. This is most obviously noticed in the period immediately after sex. This is fantastic for a government that wants to sedate your masculinity, but it's not something that will see you become a strong man. It will kill your drive, it will slow your productivity, and it will inhibit your ability to successfully tackle masculine problems. Problem number 3. Frequent masturbating will negatively affect your relationships. As mentioned in problem number 1, porn will desensitize you to real women, meaning you may not be able to ejaculate at all when having intercourse. In addition to this, studies have shown that men with problematic porn use have decreased empathic tendencies, which can negatively affect social behaviour, sexual motivation, and the ability to pair bond. Masturbating inhibits your ability to form meaningful connections with women. Essentially, you are taking the sexual energy that you have and keeping it for yourself. You are robbing your woman of the euphoria of sharing these experiences. Learn to adhere to your masculine burden of performance and satisfy your woman sexually in order to increase the bond between the pair of you. If you aren't in a relationship, frequent masturbating will still affect social behaviour and sexual motivation. Most immediately, you'll be reluctant to engage in conversations with women because of the ease of sexual access. If you do manage to get yourself into a relationship, the previous hedonistic addiction will still affect your ability to pair bond, even after you quit masturbating. Problem number 4. Frequent masturbating makes you less attractive to women. The hormonal changes after orgasm will be a hindrance to your ability to behave like a man. This includes behavioural changes, but can also include having a higher pitched voice and altering of pheromones. Researchers have tested how women's sexual scent preferences have changed depending on men's testosterone levels. Male volunteers were given t-shirts to wear for 2 consecutive nights, during which time they were prohibited from using scented soaps or detergents, drinking or smoking, and eating garlic, onion, green chilies, strong cheeses, and other pungent foods. Then female volunteers sniffed the men's shirts and rated the pleasantness, sexiness, and intensity of the smells. The women also completed a questionnaire about their stage in their menstrual cycles and whether they were using hormonal contraception. The researchers took saliva samples from men to measure the hormonal levels of testosterone. Women who are at the most fertile stage of their menstrual cycle preferred the scent of men with higher levels of testosterone. Add this to your list of reasons for why you should stop masturbating. This is also why you should never masturbate before a date. Use the natural aggressive fire that your testosterone generates as a propellant to navigate the social minefield and creatively seduce your date. The same goes for gym, or a sporting contest, or anything where you are planning to leverage the use of your testosterone. Problem number 5. Frequent masturbating is a waste of time. Not masturbating will free up more time to pursue your endeavours. 20 minutes per day spent pulling the tugboat, including finding a pornograph, stimulation, climax, and cleanup, equates to 122 hours per year. Imagine the potential. Rather than directing your sexual energy into masturbation, a healthier outlet is to direct your energy and time into your endeavours. This concept is known as sexual transmutation. Sexual transmutation, according to Napoleon Hill in his book Think and Grow Rich, was a practice used by all of the richest 500 people in the world in the early 1900s. The Coolidge Effect. The Coolidge Effect is an instinctive phenomenon occurring in the males of many sexually reproducing species, wherein post-copulatory sexual arousal may be reignited if presented with a different sexual partner. It's embedded deep within the limbic system of all mammals. The term comes from a story involving the 30th President of the United States of America, Calvin Coolidge, and his wife Grace. The story is told that the couple were being given separate tours of newly formed government farms. Upon passing the chicken coops and noticing a rooster vigorously copulating with a hen, Mrs. Coolidge inquired about how often the rooster performed this duty. "Dozens of times each day," replied the guide. Mrs. Coolidge asked the guide to please mention this fact to the President. When the President passed by later and was informed of the sexual vigour of the rooster, he asked, "Always with the same hen?" "Oh no," the guide replied, "a different one each time." President Coolidge then smiled and said, "Please tell that to Mrs. Coolidge." And so the Coolidge Effect was named as the male's tendency to be sexually re-aroused upon presentation of a novel female. In fact, if you just had intercourse with a woman, the refractory period, the downtime between ejaculations, usually about 30 minutes, is substantially less when presented with a new sexual partner. The new woman doesn't even have to be better looking than the current sexual partners. It's the newness of the woman that evokes this heightened response. As the sex becomes familiar, it loses its appeal and the interest wanes. Understand that this response is instinctive. It's embedded in our biology. It's not a bug in our firmware. It's a feature, and it ensures genetic variety. This is the reason that you click onto many new videos when you watch porn, because you get a new dopamine hit each time. It's the same reason that TikTok and other social media applications are so addictive. You are hooked on the rush of a new experience. This is the reason that you have urges to be with multiple women, even if you're already in a relationship with a young, healthy, fertile and attractive woman already. Understand that you'll always have the desire to be with other women whilst in a long-term relationship. This is not new love, it's lust, and it's only temporary until the novelty fades away. Understanding this will help you in several areas of your life. Firstly, it will help you to understand why you are feeling these urges, and so you can begin to see every new sexual opportunity for what it really is, rather than to become compromised by your temporary heightened sexual energy. It will help you to prioritise the happiness for the woman that you care about most, rather than prioritising a woman that you don't care for, that you have higher sexual urges towards. Secondly, it will prevent you from becoming a victim of the manipulative traps that the social media companies use to retain your attention. Companies like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube manipulate this male biological tendency by bombarding men with suggestions of new female friends, reels of good-looking women, and thumbnails of good-looking women. This is done in the hope that you will not be able to resist your biological urges, and you'll lose yourself down a technological rabbit hole. This also carries over to having your evolved sexual psychology used against you for marketing purposes. Don't fall victim to these techniques because a pretty woman is the face of the company or is marketing a product. Finally, and most importantly, understanding the Coolidge Effect will assist you in curing your porn addiction. As with anything, awareness is the precursor to change. Understanding how heavy porn use affects the brain is extremely helpful to those who are addicted. By understanding your brain on porn, it can help to avoid you engaging in self-destructive habits. Internet porn is far more stimulating than any regular sexual encounter. The women are done up, the scenes are perfectly lit, and all the sexual activity is clipped so that the boring parts such as position changes are edited out. On top of this, users can skip the foreplay and proceed directly to the money shot. If the video is insufficient, you can quickly find another one with a new woman. The ability to obtain a fresh sexual experience feeds into your desire to satisfy your biological urges. It's the Coolidge Effect, raw form, in real time, and men cannot stop until the stimulus is removed. Understand that it's your brain's reward centre that is driving you to watch porn. Unlike an overconsumption of food, the brain can't get full of porn. If there are no regulatory systems in place, except the refractory period, then people are likely to repeat this behaviour until exhaustion. Actually, this behaviour isn't unique to humans. An experiment by James Olds and Peter Milner, published in 1954, showed that dopamine release could be artificially stimulated in rats. Electrical stimulations of certain regions would result in the release of dopamine and activate the reward centre in the rat's brain. They hooked the electrical stimulus up to a button and put it in the rat's cage. Once the rat found the button, they found it so rewarding that they would self-stimulate the button until they fainted due to exhaustion. In fact, the rat barely stopped pressing the button to eat, consuming just enough food to avoid starvation. A similar experiment was repeated on a human subject in the 1970s. The patient had a drug problem, and he'd been expelled from the military for homosexual tendencies. In an attempt to cure him, his psychiatrist Robert Heath hooked electrodes into his brain. While they were attached, the patient had the ability to turn the stimulus on by pressing a button. The patient pressed the button over 1,000 times that session. A noted side effect was that the patient felt a compulsion to masturbate. With the electrodes on, he found both men and women sexually attractive, and when the electrodes were removed, he strongly protested. Dr. Robert Heath noted something odd when he asked the patient to describe how the electrodes made him feel. He expected him to use vocabulary such as fantastic, amazing, or wonderful, but he didn't. In fact, it would appear as though he didn't enjoy the experience at all. So why did he keep pressing the button? And why did he protest when the electrodes were removed? This is your brain on porn. You don't really enjoy the experience due to overexposure, yet you still want to watch it. You become desensitized to the new feeling. Your new dopamine baseline is set, and when you resume your normal life, you experience a decrease in happiness. If you're able to understand all of this, then why not abstain from masturbation and porn altogether? Ensure your sexual encounters are limited to real-world experiences. This will enrich your relationships and leave you with a lower dopamine baseline, which will make you more fulfilled when you do legitimately achieve that dopamine response. Another concept to consider is a regular dopamine fast, where you go a few days in a row with minimal dopamine exposure. Removing food, sex, social media, and anything else that triggers the reward centre of your brain is called a dopamine detox, and is great to restore your sensitivity. One final thing to consider. It's often suggested that frequent masturbation prevents prostate cancer. In a study started in 1992, researchers asked men to answer questions about how often they ejaculated. How didn't matter, sex, masturbation or nocturnal emissions were all included. Then they tracked these almost 32,000 men for 18 years. The researchers found that the guys who ejaculated at least 21 times a month had about a 20% lower chance of prostate cancer, compared to those who did it 4 to 7 times per month. Understand that this is not proof that regular ejaculation prevents prostate cancer. Correlation does not equal causation. It may be that men who ejaculate more have other healthy habits that are lowering their chances of developing prostate cancer. Men who have sex daily are more physically active than men who don't have sex daily. Findings from other similar studies included that ejaculating frequently doesn't seem to protect against the most deadly or advanced types of prostate cancer. Secondly, it's not known whether ejaculation during sex versus masturbation has the same benefits. Researchers found that the makeup of semen is different for each. Semen during sex has higher levels of sperm, and it's possible that this could make a difference to a man's odds of developing prostate cancer. Finally, not all studies show that increasing ejaculation reduces your chances of developing prostate cancer. Only 7 studies have shown an inverse relationship. 9 studies actually observed a positive association between development of prostate cancer and increased ejaculation. 3 studies reported no association, and 1 study found a U-shaped relationship. In summary, the correlation is all over the place and cannot be taken seriously. Young men out there, understand that you are causing yourself a disservice by masturbating. There is no benefit. It will sideline you, it will interrupt your work, it will nuke your testosterone, and it will make you less attractive to women. It will take you away from your purpose. It will change the way you think and behave. It distorts what's realistic for you sexually, and it will rob you of intimacy in your relationships. Stop it now before you castrate yourself. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 70, I'll run through how to kick bad habits and replace them with good habits. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.